Myself, Dr. Mohan Kumar from Government Science College, Bengaluru. Now, we will discuss on the topic prawn culture and farming. Prawn culture and farming. In that, we'll start with, because when we are dealing with prawns, I mean, we should know at least some very important species of prawns. So we'll start with important species of prawns, food and feeding of prawns, and then prawn culture and farming in this particular session. To start with, important species of prawns. Many species of prawns are found in various, water bodies in India. So these prawn species which are available will vary in their size, their growth rate, taste, etc. There is a huge variation in the available prawns in India in terms of its body size, growth rate, taste, etc. But only those species of prawns, only those species of prawns which attain good size, weight, available in plenty, and easy to culture are selected for commercial purposes. So we have how many varieties of prawns, so many species of prawns, but when it comes to the commercial point of view, we select only few species based on their qualities, based on their body size, based on their growth rate, etc. Now, let us see the very important few very important prawns. The following are the very important prawn species from culture point of view. We are discussing only few, which grow better and commercially important from the culture point of view. First, we will see the marine prawns. Shrimp, I think you are all familiar with this term. Generally, it refers to the marine prawns, Penaeus. So they come under the group Penaeus, Penaeus, Monodon, like that, genus and species. Shrimp particularly refers to the marine prawns. We will see these two are marine prawns. First one is Penaeus monodon. So this species, that is Penaeus monodon, is the largest marine prawn. So Penaeus monodon is the largest marine prawn. So this particular species of prawn is popularly known as tiger prawn, or it's also called joint tiger prawn. Because of its size, we use the term joint tiger prawn, popularly it's called. So this Penaeus monodon can attain maximum length of up to 30 centimeter. So that means, it is a big prawn. Hence we call it as popularly tiger prawn, giant tiger prawn. So that is Penaeus monodon, marine condition prawn. The second one is Penaeus indicus. It is one of the major and commonest commercial species of marine prawn. This prawn, Penaeus indicus, is commonly or popularly known as white prawn. This is called tiger prawn, but Penaeus indicus is called as white prawn. This Penaeus indicus attains a maximum length of up to 20 centimeter. So, as far as the marine prawns are concerned, they come under Penaeus, Penaeus monodon, commonly called as tiger prawn, and the other one is Penaeus indicus, commonly called white prawn. So this can reach up to 30 centimeter, but here it is up to 20 centimeter in its length. So when it comes to the freshwater prawns, the prawn, the term refers to generally freshwater forms. I think all of you know Palimons. Penis there, here Palimons we use. So these two are the very important freshwater prawns. To start with, Macrobrachium rosenbergi. It's called Macrobrachium rosenbergi. This species of freshwater prawn is also known as, here again, giant freshwater prawn because of its huge size. It is giant prawn. It is a freshwater prawn. It is also called river prawn, river freshwater body. Hence, it's called river prawn. So this is one of the biggest freshwater prawn. Among the freshwater prawn, Macrobrachium rosenbergi is biggest prawn in the world and is widely cultivated in so many countries. Macrobrachium rosenbergi is popularly called as giant freshwater prawn. This is the biggest prawn in freshwater, among the freshwater prawns, and people have been cultivating these species in so many countries. So this is hence commercially very important species of freshwater prawn, Macrobrachium rosenbergi. And the second species in freshwater, among the freshwater prawns, is Macrobrachium malcolmsoni. Macrobrachium malcolmsoni. This again also very important. It is omnivorous, just like any other prawns, bottom dweller freshwater prawn. It is migratory species. Of course, even Macrobrachium rosenbergi will also go to the marine system for breeding purpose. Here also it's a migratory organism. This attains a maximum length of about 15 centimeter. So these two are very important freshwater prawns, that is Macrobrachium rosenbergi and Macrobrachium malcolmsoni. Just few examples I am telling. Then let us come to the food and feeding of prawn. Basically, prawns are omnivorous. You know, omnivorous, they feed both on plants and animals. Feed on living organisms, vegetable matters, and dead and decaying organic matters also. Hence, it is an omnivorous organism. It also feeds on small insects, seaweeds, algae, etc. Planktonic diatoms too constitute the food of the prawn. So small planktons are also constitute the food of this particular organism. Cannibalism is there in prawn. So cannibalism means eating its own species. Prawn eating the prawn. The larger or big sized prawns never feed upon the healthy smaller ones. In the sense, they are not going to harm the smaller prawns when they are in the healthy condition, when they are in the normal condition. But once these smaller prawns become weak due to some problem, or if by chance if they die, the larger ones may feed on the weak small prawns. That's why it is cannibalistic in nature. So for this purpose, in the anterior side, they have what is called chelate legs. These legs help them to catch and take the food towards the mouth. So let us move on to the prawn culture. Whether it is a freshwater prawn or marine prawn culture, So we will do it in different ways. First one is extensive, second one is semi-intensive, and the third one is intensive. These are the different ways of prawn cultures. Of course, it refers to even fishes also. First one is extensive prawn culture. Here, juvenile prawns or seeds or young prawns are allowed or stocked in the low density, extensive, aram se, without any pressure, in low density, less number, to develop in artificial bodies of waters like including rice field will stock these in thin number, low density. Here the prawns feed and grow till they are harvested. So without taking any much risk, we'll stock only few individuals in the available water bodies and will harvest them. That is extensive prawn culture. Then semi-intensive, it is population is very less here. So in the next stage, I mean little bit increased, density is increased and we will take care to some extent. Here the seeds or the young ones are allowed to feed and grow under the controlled condition. I mean we are interfering to the maximum extent. It here required size prawns are then harvested for marketing. It's a cultivation, but here I mean we will not take too much of risk as density is very less. Here it is semi-intensive, moderate type of cultivation. I mean the stocking density is not very high here. So that is semi-intensive culture. On the other hand, the third type is intensive prawn culture. It requires much infrastructure for better result. So here the I mean intensive culture is I mean here we are stocking more and more prawns. We are taking a risk here. I mean we are providing better environment. We are providing them the better food, etc. Okay. So ultimately you will get better result also, or the yield will be more here. It starts from high stocking density. That means instead of stocking 100 here, you may stock 150 here. Here you may stock 200. Like that. The density is very important here. Starts with high stocking density, followed by once you stock more number, you need to maintain all other qualities by proper water quality management you have to maintain, because number of seeds are more, you are giving more and more feed, what it may I mean alter or damage the water quality. Hence we need to I mean maintain the water quality. We have to provide the artificial feed here because density is more. Whatever the natural feed I mean that they are getting I mean may not be sufficient here. Hence we have to I mean provide the commercial feeds here. I mean obviously as the stocking density is here more, it may lead to the oxygen deficiency, dissolved oxygen, DO2 we call it as. It may lead to the deficiency of oxygen and other necessary factors. So we have to provide the I mean aerators that is required for the development and growth of prawns. So here we are giving I mean we are putting more and more number of individuals. We are taking care of them. We are taking care of the water quality, and out of that the return we are getting is also more. So based on the stocking density and the risk that we are taking, the culture is of three types: extensive, semi-intensive and intensive culture. So if you want to culture the prawns, whether it is a freshwater prawn or marine water prawn, so prawn, of course freshwater prawn may not survive in marine water, or marine water prawns will not survive. You have to be very specific I mean as far as the selection of seeds are concerned. So as far as the cultivation is concerned, as such there is no much difference. Both are living in the water. It is a fresh salt water, but it is a fresh water. Stocking density, etc., etc., all those things, maintenance of water quality, providing the food, I mean harvesting, all those things almost remain same, whether it is a freshwater farm or marine farm. But major difference is marine water and there it is fresh water. First thing is we are basically concentrating on marine prawn farming, selection of site. So most suitable location is, we need to select the suitable area which is adjacent to the brackish water estuary. So we have to select a place which is adjacent to the brackish water. As it's a marine prawn culture, we have to have the sufficient water for this activity. You cannot imagine the aquaculture activities without sufficient water. So hence, as we are concentrating on marine water, there should be sufficient source of water for this cultivation. First thing is pond. The size of the pond, the shape of the pond, it depends, it varies based on our requirements. Irregular shape, will not serve the purpose. So generally, uneven bottom ponds, the bottom should be, even, it should not be uneven or not fit. A pond should be, generally, we refer it as rectangular ponds. It should not be too broad. Whatever it may be, the length of the pond, because in a rectangular pond, it is easy for us to drag and harvest the prawns. Hence, we prefer specific shape, particularly rectangular shape ponds, and the lower side, the bottom should be even, because while dragging, the prawns will, the prawn or fishes, they will escape in between that grooves. Hence, the bottom should be even. Level should be there, as they reduce the efficiency of harvest if it is uneven bottom. Too close to the beach, if you want to cultivate these prawns, that is in the very close to the beach or water body, then you have to be very careful while selecting, because sometimes it may subject it to the erosion due to heavy rain or other things or floods. You may lose all the prawns. Hence, while selecting, you have to be very careful. It should not be very close to the beach. Now, the farm should be slant with high and low water levels. When we are constructing a pond, you have to maintain a slope from one side to the other side, so that without making use of any kerosene pump or diesel pump, etc., you can empty the pond easily. If it is in a flat condition, if we have what is called inlet and outlet, generally we fix the pipes. Inlet is to put the water, to fill the water. Outlet is to empty the pond. So when you have the outlet on the lower side, it will be without making use of any fuel, you will be able to empty the pond. Or due to some reason, if you want to exchange the water, you can remove 50% of the water and easily you can refill it without any expenditure. Hence, the while constructing the pond, you have to maintain a sort of slope. Next point is enough circulation of water is required. Once you fill the pond, it will not serve, that is not the end of it. Every day, water evaporation will be there. Maybe some seepage or leakage may be there. So in order to, maintain the water level, you have to have the water source for refilling the pond. So as I told you, generally rectangular shape of the pond, proper inlet to fill the water, and proper outlet to drain the water is very important while constructing any pond for that matter. Generally, you should be able to maintain at least 3 to 4 feet water. The water level should be minimum about 3 to 4 feet in its height, because if the water level is very less, normally some birds and other things easily can catch the prawns or fishes. Second thing is, if the water depth is very less, during summer, you may come across with acute shortage of water. Then if the depth is very less, sunlight will penetrate to the bottom and it may lead to the development of algae, etc. Hence, at least 3 to 4 feet water you need to maintain. Then you cannot imagine any aquacultural activities without quality and sufficient quantity water. Okay, that is very important. So proper supply of good quality water is very much essential to fulfill the aquaculture activities. Once you start, in between also you need water to maintain the loss due to evaporation or evaporative loss, or which is lost due to the seepage or the leakage from the bottom. So in order to maintain all these things, required quantity of water is very much essential. Prawns generally, even when compared to fishes, they are very very sensitive. They are very delicate and they are very sensitive also. Whether it is water quality or chemical is concerned. So maintenance of proper water quality is very important. Water should be free from any chemicals, pollutants or any other contaminations. So they are very sensitive. And one more thing is, these prawns are bottom dwellers. If something goes wrong, no, easily you will not be able to identify that. So you think no, the prawns are there, simply you will be feeding like that. So you have to be very careful. It's very difficult to identify or see the prawns. Sufficient dissolved oxygen and nutrients should be there in the pond. See, if it's a natural water, just fill the water and you can start stocking the seeds. But if the same thing, if you are starting in the freshwater body, then you have to fill the water, you have to manure the pond with cow dung. Generally we use the cow dung for manuring. Once you manure, you have to leave it for at least 1 week or 10 days. In the meantime, planktons will develop, oxygen level will shoot up or it will increase, and the pond will be ready to stock the seeds only after 10 days. So otherwise, if it is a natural water, marine water or reservoir water, directly we can stock it. Salinity, temperature also plays very important role as far as cultivation of prawn is concerned. Then as far as soil quality is concerned, generally the soil pH, slightly acidic, 6.5 to 7.5 is the ideal pH for the rearing these organisms. Generally clay soil is better, whether it is a marine or freshwater ponds, because if it is a clay soil, it is suitable, as clay soil tend to hold the water. The seepage or leakage will be very less. Even in case of freshwater farms, if you construct a pond, once you start filling, if there is a seepage, you can put some clay soil. So it will avoid the leakage of the pond or seepage of the pond. Of course, then comes the availability of the seeds. Seeds which can be reared in captivity can be collected, or the number of seeds, quality and specific species prawns can be collected from the nature. Just you can drag, it may not be the homogeneous, uniform size, same species, etc. But you will be able to get sufficient number of prawn seeds from the prawn hatcheries. So that is the, I think, problem as far as freshwater prawn seeds are concerned in Karnataka. So these seeds can be transported in plastic bags, just like we transfer the fish seeds, along with oxygen. So oxygen packing can be done and can be transported easily, the prawn seeds, for transportation from hatchery to your farm or your pond, etc. So in addition to that, other factors for commercial and economic farming, you have to have a sufficient water spread area, like maybe around 5 hectares, etc. So if the water spread area is more, obviously it will give better results. For commercial purpose, you have to have more land area. And one more important point is, it is better to have many ponds than having a single huge pond, because if something goes wrong, if water quality, something is wrong with the water quality, then if you have any other ponds, then you can shift it from one pond to the other pond. Otherwise, if you have only one huge pond, if something goes wrong, then definitely it's a problematic. Hence, it's better to have many ponds. Many ponds means I'm not telling that to go for very small ponds, but instead of one pond, it is better to go for two or three ponds, etc. So proper access, that is road and market for effective disposal for marketing purpose is very important. Once you harvest them, the marketing link, the roads, all those things are very important as far as the fish or prawn farming is concerned. So now, while preparing the farm, first thing is layout of the plan is very important. How we are going to design, how you are going to plan. Do you have any one extra pond for the storage of water during emergency? So all these things you have to plan initially. Okay. So if it's a new pond, we have to check the seepage first, leakage, and as I told you, if any leakage is there, then you can use the clay soil from some other place. You can shift the clay soil and can be used to avoid the leakage. So desirable to drain the pond once in a year at least. Once in a while, it is better to empty the pond completely to increase the productivity. It's not compulsory always. You can drag the prawns and you can restock it, but at least once in a while, it is better to totally or completely empty the pond. For subsequent stocking, drain the water. Then when the pond is empty, expose the pond bottom to the sunlight to dry. It should not be too much also. Then it leads to cracks and seepage. Leakage will be there. To some extent, you have to dry it. That's very important to eradicate or to remove or to kill the pathogens, predators, if any weed fishes or plants are there, etc. Weed fishes or weed plants, whatever it may be, you can completely eradicate all these things by emptying and exposing it to the sunlight. So normally, in such situations, we also use or we go for what is called liming. Lime basically acts as a source of calcium. It acts as a disinfectant. Hence, we put lime also once when you empty the pond. So in such cases, before you start the next cycle, it is better to mix the soil. That is in the end of the cycle. Once you harvest all the fishes, if some water is there, just you agitate, mix it. So that is better. It will, if any, gases are there, it will be released, and it will, because of continuous agitation, probably it may also kill some unwanted organisms also. So desilting is required when the soil becomes black, because you are after the one cycle you are continuously rearing the prawn. Definitely there will be a fecal matter. You are putting the feed, it may also decay to some extent. Hence gradually in the bottom the organic load will increase. So after so many cycles, once in a while at least, we need to remove that black soil. It is very rich in organic load. It will damage or pollute the water in the pond. Hence, once in a while, after many cycles, desilting is also very important. So I told you about liming. Normally, at the rate of 400 kg per hectare, helps in disinfection, absorb excess carbon dioxide. It also helps for mineralization. It is a source of calcium. It helps in increasing the pH, etc. So after filling the pond with water, as I told you, 3 to 4 feet, manure using cattle dung or poultry dung in case of freshwater ponds. If it is a marine, directly from the marine system, I think natural food will be there. But definitely if you are using any bore water or any fresh water, then it needs manuring. Once you manure, leave it for few days, 1 week or 10 days, then only you have to think of I mean, manuring before the, sorry, think of stocking the seeds. Before that, you should not, because already you have used, I mean, fresh water, maybe bore water, DO will be less. Once you put the organic load, it starts decaying. The process of decaying still will consume large quantity of oxygen, which is already there. Hence, DO deficiency will be there. So you should not stock the seeds before 1 week or 10 days. Now the pond is ready with sufficient oxygen and planktons. Okay. Once you put the, I mean, manure, I mean, after 1 week, large number of small organisms will develop in the water body. They are called planktons. It may be phytoplankton, it's a plant, or zooplankton. Zoo, it is an animal. Small organisms will develop. So now once you bring the seeds in the oxygen packing, directly you should not dump it into the new environment, because there will be a change in the water temperature and other things. So it leads to shock. Hence, here before stocking, once you bring the oxygen packed seeds, just you leave it on the, keep it on the water body for some time, about 10 to 15 minutes. Gradually, the temperature and other things will, I mean, saturate. Now now you can open it, and gradually you can release the seeds into your pond. Stocking density, how much you can stock per acre, like that. That is stocking density. Depends on the type of culture, as I told you, whether it is extensive, semi-extensive, intensive, etc. And it also depends on size of the seed. If the size of the seed is more, we will go for, I mean, less number. If the seed is very small, we will increase the number, etc. So intensive rearing requires proper aeration and extra care, whether it is fish culture or prawn culture for that matter. So continuous and optimum manure yields better result. So once you manure, it will increase the productivity, the planktons, then it will reach a saturation value, then it will come down. So continuous manure, continuous means you have to reduce the volume of manure once in a while, at least once in month, once in 2 months, like that. You need to put the manure in the limited quantity. So this will maintain the plankton condition continuously in the pond. But you have to be careful, because you are manuring when the organisms are already there. The quantity of manure that you are using should be careful. Better to add some hideouts like waste pipes, etc. for prawns, because they want to sit in a, or hide in a some places. Some waste PVC pipes, etc. can be used. Just you can throw it, they will sit inside that. They prefer such areas. Provide artificial feed to enhance the fast growth. You have to, even you are manuring, etc., you need to use artificial feed also to enhance the growth. So it is always advised that it is better to go for pelleted feeds. Pellets are better than going for powder form. Okay. So if you add the pellets, as it will avoid the loss of feed. So if you put some powder form feed, just it will dissipate in the water. It acts as something like, it is not easily available to the organism. It will, it acts as a manure. It will increase the organic load. It will spoil the water quality, etc. So if it is in the pelleted form, it is easy for the organism to hold it and eat it, particularly as these have specific what's called chelated legs. So it will not spoil the water quality. Nowadays, in fish culture, people go for floating feeds also. That will give you the proper idea about whether they are consuming or not. So we have to feed twice in a day, morning and afternoon or evening. So we need to maintain water quality. It's very, very important. Whenever it is required, 50% of the water you can exchange if something goes wrong. If you feel the water quality is bad. So we get 20 centimeter, the size, they reach about 20 centimeter or 100 gram within 6 months. It depends on the, water quality management, nutrients of the soil, the food that you are providing, stocking density, etc. So generally, I am telling. So hence, once it is harvested after 6 months, means 2 cycles, 2 crops you can harvest per year. So generally, you can also go for what is called polyculture. You can culture these prawns with other fishes also, particularly with carps, katla, rohu, mrigal, etc. So paddy cum prawn culture is also very popular in some of the states. They are very sensitive to the chemicals. They are sensitive to the water quality or insecticides. Hence, you have to be very careful about these aspects. So when it comes to the harvesting in shallow water, fishing requires only gears. Gears are nothing but nets. But in deep water, for harvesting purpose, you need both gears, that is nets, as well as the crafts. Gears and craft we call it as boats. Here you need only nets, but in deep water you cannot go. We need boats also. So nowadays number of mechanized crafts and gears are available. Devices like nets, traps, hooks are also used. It is essential to have an idea about biology of prawn. So if you want to, I mean, think about the commercial cultivation of these prawns, basic information about the biology is very important. Most of the prawns are bottom dwellers, but sometimes if the oxygen concentration is very less, sometimes they may come to the surface also. But some travel over the surface of the water. So adult prawns prefer to live in sea, but juveniles prefer shallow water and backwater. Based on these facts, suitable traps are used for easy and better capture while harvesting. So for harvesting, as I told you, we use the nets, generally made up of cotton. Of course, it will be nylon, because continuously it will be in the water. I mean, it is easy to maintain the nylon material. Sometimes it is a combination of these two. So, so for this capture, generally we use two types of nets. Okay. So when you are using nets, the net size is very important. The hole in the net is very important. If you use big size nets, then once if you are harvesting the prawns, I mean, only you will be able to get the bigger ones. The smaller ones easily they will escape, and after some time they will also reach to the higher level. So these nets are of two types. One is cast net, the other one is drag net. Cast net is the simplest type of net operated by a single person like this. Only one person is enough to use these type of nets, that is cast net. So he can stand on the floor and he can throw over the water and later drawn off with the help of rope. See, he will be standing here, he will arrange it properly. He will throw it over the water body. It will cover the so much of area. Once he starts pulling, he will be holding that one thread in his hand. He will not throw this. Okay. Once he starts pulling, automatically the thread will come to one place. Whatever the animals present within that area are caught or are covered by this net. So it is easy to handle. Only one person can handle this. Only important thing here is that that area should be free from aquatic weeds or stones, etc. So the other type is drag net. So you can see here, people are one fellow from here, in between, or in here and there. They can hold the net in your it's called head rope, and the foot rope will be in the bottom. It contains sinkers, small iron like pieces, weights. It will go to the bottom. They will hold that in the toe, and holding that head rope in the hand, they will pull it. So they will drag the entire water. That is possible only in case of shallow water. If it is less than 4 or 5 feet, then they can drag from one corner to the other corner, or from one side to the other side, if the pond is rectangular in shape. So that's how they will be able to harvest the organism. Finally, to conclude, most important species of prawns used for cultivation are Peneus monodon, Peneus indicus, Macrobrascum rosenbergi, Macrobrascum, Malcolmsoni, etc. to name a few. So these prawns are omnivorous, feed on living organisms, vegetable matter, dead and decaying organic matters, small insects, weeds, etc. So prawn culture may be of different type, freshwater prawn culture or marine water culture. Again, it depends on the density, that is extensive, semi-intensive or intensive type. So as far as farming is concerned, it depends on selection of site, proper quality and quantity of water is required, its maintenance is required, manuring is very important. You have to stock in optimum density or optimum stocking density we need to maintain. We have to provide the artificial feed, then maintenance all over, I mean within from stocking to the harvesting, then about it needs about 6 months to attain the marketable size. Then we can harvest using either by emptying the pond or by dragging the pond. It depends on the depth of the water level. So like this we can cultivate the prawns and harvest them. Thank you.